So how can we insert the letter D at the beginning of the array or at index 0? Well, when you insert something into the array, the first step that you always have to do is check to see if there's still enough space inside this array. We know that there's one space left, but how does the computer know this? Let's see. There are 3 letters inside the array. So the size is 3. There are 3 letters. How about the length of the array? You can see that there are 4 squares. So the length of the array is 4. And because 3 is less than 4, we know that there's still enough space inside the array. The second step is to put I at the last letter inside the array, so at index 2. We move C to the right, we move I to the left, and repeat this process. So move B to the right, move I to the left, we move A to the right. Now we consider at index 0, we see that the square is empty. So let's go ahead and put D into this array. Now we have D, A, B, C. Let's insert the letter E at the beginning of this array, or at index 0. The first step is check to see is there still enough space inside this array. So the number of elements is 4. There are 4 letters. And how about the array length? The number of squares inside this array is also 4. And because 4 is equal to 4, we know that there's no more space inside this array. So what we can do is double the length of the array. And don't worry, I will show you how to do exactly this in Java or C. The next step is to put I at the last letter inside the array. So at index 3, we move C to the right, we move I to the left, and repeat this process. So B to the right, and I to the left, and A to the right, and I to the left, and D to the right. Here, index 0 is available, so let's insert the letter E into the array. For our next example, I want to show you how to insert something into the middle of the array. So let's insert the letter D at the middle of the array, or at index 1. The first step is to check is there still enough space inside the array. There are 3 letters, and there are 4 squares in the array. And this means there is enough space. So we put I at the last letter in the array, which is at index 2. We move C to the right. We move I to the left. Then we move B to the right. And we see that we're at index 1 now. So let's put D into the square. Let's do it again. So we want to insert the letter E into index 1. The first step is to check is there enough space. There are 4 letters, and there are 4 squares in the array. So the answer is no, there's not enough space. So we need to double the length of the array. Then the next step is to put I at the last letter. We move C to the right. We move I to the left. We move B to the right, then I to the left, and D to the right. Now we're at index 1, and we insert E into index 1. And we have A, E, D, B, C. I'm going to show you how to insert into the end of the array. The first step is check the space. There are 3 letters, and there are 4 squares, so there is enough space. And all we have to do is put D at the very last index, at index 3. As you can see, it's very simple. Let's do it again. So we want to add the letter E at the end of this array. Well, is there enough space? The answer is no, because the number of letters is 4, and there are 4 squares in this array, indicating that it is full. What we can do here is double the length and insert E into the next available index, which is index 4. And as a result, we now have A, B, C, D, E. Let's take a look at how to implement a list using an array in Java. So here is our interface, and the interface just lists out the methods that we will have, and then we will implement them in a moment. So some of these methods are size is empty, get, set, add, remove, pop, and display. Next, we have the ArrayList class, and our ArrayList can contain numbers or strings. It doesn't matter the type of the data, so that's why we use the generic data type, T, which means it doesn't matter what data type it is. We also have some primitive variables such as default capacity, which I will set to 4. This is basically the array length, but here I will say default capacity instead. And here is our array, then size is equal to 0 because when you create a list, it's going to be initially empty. So the size or the number of elements will be equal to 0. We also need constructors. So when you call the constructor, it will assign some memory to the array. That's all it's going to do. So how much memory are we giving to the array? Well, we can use the default capacity, which is 4, but you can also give the user the option to change the capacity of the array. So you can pass in the argument capacity and then use this instead. So use this into here. So if instead of 4 you want 10, then you can pass 10 in here and create the array of length 10. The next step is to implement the methods add and removal. So these methods will go under the constructor here. Next up, we have the add method. So let's say we want to add data at the end of the array. And this add will call a different add method. So add size and data. And why is that? Well, let's look at this example again. We want to add the letter E at the end of the array. This is equivalent to adding the letter E at index 4. So that's why it's calling add size, comma data. And here the size is 4 because there are 4 letters at the moment. Let's look at the add method that has 2 arguments, so data and index. For example, we want to add the letter D at index 1. It will add D into this index right here. So what does this if statement do? This if statement basically says don't insert if the index is smaller than 0 or if the index is greater than or equal to 4, because these will give us index out of bounds. But how about index 3? What if we try to insert at index 3? Well, that's okay. That just means we want to add into the end of the list. So here we need to expand the length of the array. So that's this if statement here. If size is equal to array length, we're going to create a new array and we double the length. So here size at the moment is 3 because there are 3 letters and the array length is also 3. This means we need to expand the array. So we have new array with double the length. Then we're going to traverse through our array and copy all the data into our new array. Then the next step is actually really important. We need to point the array into this new array. So now this is our new array. Our old array does not have a variable set to it. Java will basically put this into the garbage collection. So it will just delete it for us. At this point, we're on to this for loop right here. So what this for loop basically does is it puts I at the very last letter. So it puts I at C. And how does it know this? Well, it's going to put I at size minus 1. So size is 3. So 3 minus 1 is 2. So it's going to put I at index 2. Then we move C to the right. We move I to the left. We move B to the right. At this line, which is array at index is equal to data, this line will put D into index 1. And finally, we increment size. So size plus plus because we just added an element into our array. And last but not least, here is our display function if you want to display the current state of your list. Finally, we have the main class, and here is our main method. We're going to create the array list that we just implemented, and we can use this to test the methods that we just built. So here we're going to add some elements at the beginning of the array list. And that's basically it for today. I hope you found this video helpful and I hope that you enjoyed my video. If you want to see more of my computer science videos, go ahead and click on the data structure playlist here on the screen. And don't forget to subscribe and share with your classmates to help them as well.